Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we take a look at every single episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I am Jeff.
I am Skylar.
And I'm Dirk Strider.
And this week we are reviewing Series 5, Episode 12 and Episode 13. The Pandorica opens in the Big Bang by... I'm trying to come up with a good title for this one. The bad bitch of the Doctor Who fandom, Stephen Moffat.
He's been naughty.
As this is our season finale, and of course wraps up all of the arc stuff for this season. And actually starts off with a pretty impressive display of continuity where it's like, yeah, here's here's
Van Gogh and
here's Van Gogh, here's Churchill, here's blah 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 blah. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I'm reading here on the Wikipedia that in Doctor Who Confidential, Stephen Moffat noted that back when Russell T Davies was the head writer, he always made his season finales bigger and bigger than the previous year, and he took this into consideration when writing the two-part finale of Series 5, hoping it would continue the tradition. I mean, it does, but this is kind of the peak. Like, it can't get any bigger than this, and when they try, it fails.
Yeah,
it's really hard to top, like, literally the entirety of existence will be erased. And already that's basically just the same thing from season 4, like with the end of time.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing, but with just like a different slant on it.
Yeah. So yeah, oh yeah, I forgot Liz 10 shows up for a second, but fuck her. I think this might actually be the first appearance of Blue Guy. I don't remember what his name is. I just remember that he's like, yeah, funny blue guy, and he shows up again in Series 6.
Dorian?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is, and then he gets beheaded later because headless monks or whatever.
Yeah, Dorian. I forget he's here. I just remember him being in Series 6. So, you know, way to go, Moffat. Some continuity as a treat.
I mean, okay, I will give Moffat the point that he does set up like continuity things for the next season. It's just that he doesn't. He kind of fumbles it next season.
It feels like Moffat's continuity is based more around, oh hey, it's that dude, as opposed to like kind of the world continuity where it's like RTD's continuity would still be like, oh hey, that dude. But because it was so grounded, there was this sense that like every year was a progressive year for the Earth location, and the series hasn't really been that grounded on Earth again, even though Chibnall clearly tried and is failing miserably. Take the shot 4 minutes in.
I'm gonna be dead by the time we're done with this one, but
yeah, you're the only one here who can actually drink.
This is true. I'm not gonna say what alcohol I have beside me.
United States of America.
That's an unironic statement coming from Dirk Strider, ladies and gentlemen, and
non-binary
Fuck you!
Pals. I would never.
Take me to dinner first. Anyways,
I'm gay.
That's okay. I'll put in the paperwork. Anyways, point being, what my original point in speaking up was that I'm starting to get a lot of George Lucas parallels with Stephen Moffat, and then he starts out with like great ideas, and then his idea on how to follow through continuity is just kind of like dropping references. Like, I don't know, what comes to mind is like in in A New Hope, when it's just like there's the name drop of the Clone Wars, and when we finally get to the Clone Wars in the movies, it's kind of very underwhelming.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think of that when, when we look at the 11th Hour and the Pandorica, the Silence, the Crack, like all of that is mentioned, and really the only thing in Matt Smith's like era to truly like live up, to me at least, is the Pandorica, and even that's like a maybe. So
yeah, it's really weird because like you realize now that what he was setting up is like the oh, who caused the TARDIS to crash or whatever thing. But it's really funny that even before they appear on screen, the Silence are like fucking weak as shit, because it's just some dude trying to do a creepy voice going, "Silence will fall." Ah.
Keep going.
As someone who has been watching, I think I'm about halfway through series 6 just on my own time right now. Like, it's really funny how like the Silence look cool, and they're a bit like their power is cool in theory, and then that's it. They just stand around and like shoot lightning at people. They suck. They're so bad.
See, I remember them being really imposing in their introduction, like in season 6, and then I don't really have an opinion of them after that, and I'm assuming that's because they do so little that it didn't make an impression on our young child mind.
That's very probable.
Yeah. Like, because in our mind, we remember the Silence being pretty imposing, but then when I think about it, I'm like, we only remember them from the first episode, so I'm like,
yeah, and
what
they
did they
only
even
kill
do after
one
that?
person in that episode.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Anyways, that's next season.
Yeah. So yeah, the Doctor and Amy go to the very first planet that's ever formed, and there's supposedly a cliff there that's writing, and no one's ever translated this message, which my first thought was like, but if the TARDIS translation matrix can translate it, that totally means any Time Lord could have swaggered over there and read it. But then again, I remember the fact that the Time Lords that aren't the Doctor, the Master, and if you're a fucking classic stan, the Ronnie, are boring as shit.
Yeah, they're all fucking boring nerds.
Yeah.
I will say this definitely came across to me as a reference to something from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, from the what is it, the fourth book, where it's like God's
the fourth
final
book.
message is just, "We're sorry for the inconvenience."
Yeah, and it's the same sort of setup. It's like God's final message to his creation, written in 40-foot tall letters on the cliffside of some, old ass planet, and it's just, "We apologize for the inconvenience." Yeah, and so I definitely think that was a reference to Hitchhikers, especially when you consider that Douglas Adams was like a classic writer on Doctor Who. So I feel like that was a little tip of the hat.
I have to admit, when I first saw, I don't know, just the joke that came to my mind is just like, oh, this contains like the oldest writing, like an important message, and he just walks out and it says like, "The Doctor is the timeless child." Like, that's just fucking imagine just like, the shit, what's going on? But yeah,
Oh my god, I'm just considering them doing like like when they edited the re-releases of the original trilogy of Star Wars to have I don't remember his name. The actor for Anakin is the Force Ghost at the end of episode 6.
Hayden,
and I'm like, God, what if they did that with this episode and just changed the words on the cliff to be "timeless child"?
Nice.
I think that's another Chibnall bad swing right there.
Honestly, I can't decide whether or not that's better or worse than yet another fucking "Hello, Sweetie."
Yeah, that's I'm kind of mixed because it's so Moffat wife step on me trope thing.
Yeah.
It's like River doesn't do many like cringe things in this arc, at least in my opinion, but like stuff like just the way she's been introduced in this show, like the way she was introduced in um I'm forgetting the name of the arc, but like in that one and in this one it's just kind of like, oh god, here we go.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, here we go again. Yeah. So they go to Earth in 102 AD, where the Romans are invading Britain again. There's a throwaway line here from Amy about being like, "Yeah, I wrote a thing on the Romans, an essay on the Romans in school. I called it Invasion of the Hot Italians."
Which
would
of
get
course
docked.
proves that she was yeah, which of course proves that she wasn't the brightest child, because everyone knows that hot and Italian are oxymorons.
As an Italian and a trans girl, I can confirm this single-handedly. Yes.
Amy be like, "I cook a meatball."
You know, everyone's always talking about how we need to have POC representation from the Doctor, and the next Doctor should be a person of color. But really, I think that what we need representation of is an Italian Doctor. When are we going to get a Doctor who isn't scared to say, "I cook a meatball" on BBC? That's the progress we need.
I feel like if one was going
Okay,
to
Liv
say,
Strider.
if someone was, well, wait, you know what? Does 10 count? Because he does say molto bene.
10 does not count. He has
Okay.
an English accent.
He
we
appropriated my
Oh,
culture.
so what you're saying is you want Super Mario to play the Doctor?
Yes.
Daleks are. This is Cybermen are like, "We have found the Doctor. Delete," and he starts running away. And as he's running away, he goes, "Woohoo!"
Just call up Bob Hoskins. He's not doing anything.
Nice of the Princess to invite us over for dinner, eh, Romana?
We're really on track today. Dear God.
Okay, all right. I'd just like to say, so when I rewatched this, about a month or so ago, I was like, really, like, I was trying to debate, like, is fucking River dressing up as Cleopatra culturally insensitive? And then I looked up, and apparently she was from fucking Greece, so no, not really.
Huh.
Fair enough.
I was like, does this count as brownface?
The more you know.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is an episode that would work so much better if this was 12. I'm probably going to say that for every episode that River appears in, because
I'm going
12...
to okay, well, the River angle, yes. Because what I was going to say is, when you say this episode in general, I'm going to think about, like, I think specifically of the Stonehenge speech, and I don't think 12 could do that.
Okay, yes, that's fair, and I
7
will walk
could,
that...
and there is actually a recording of Sylvester McCoy at a convention reciting that. And
I've seen the
great.
video.
Really?
It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
I haven't seen that. I would definitely be interested in seeing that.
I'll walk it back then. I'll say I think 12 works better with the River angle, but since that angle is so downplayed, even when they get to the quote unquote present, I'll walk that back, because 11 definitely works with the speech and with the whole fairy tale motif that is literally like basically explicitly dropped in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a very 11 story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because with something like the Lodger, where it's very quotidian, and sort of just everyday life kind of thing. That's the sort of thing that 12 does well.
Yeah.
Just more casual stuff. But when you're doing like big dramatic things and big sort of plot points and set pieces, I think 11 nails it a lot better.
Yeah. Um I will say there is actually I'm not gonna lie, despite the haha Moffat wife guy jokes, the exchange where Eleven's like, you graffitied the oldest cliff face in the universe, and River's like, you wouldn't answer your phone. That's pretty
That was
Kino.
That's good.
Yeah. Like definitely I do think there are good moments between the
Yeah.
two of them. It's just the overall thing is just kind of like, dude, you can like take your foot off the gas a bit, like,
Yeah.
man.
Dude, like, calm down. Yeah.
I think the problem with River is that like 90% of the time she reads like her own fan fiction.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
also it's also specifically because like the entire time that she's on screen, it's like, oh, she's this super secret mysterious person. Ooh, she has history with the Doctor. And then it basically turns out to like, yeah, I'm Amy's kid. The entirety of Let's Kill Hitler, which and like a couple more scenes, so it feels like way too much buildup for something that didn't end up happening that much.
It's also like, no matter how funny and like clever it is, it's just we're getting away. The fact of the matter is we're getting away from her characterization in in the library arc, which I know you could argue it's like, well, that's her at the end of her life, but it's like, I don't know, you should still be able to tell like the same thing, and it's like you can portray her at an earlier point in her character without it feeling like all of her like all of her traits are like flanderized. I don't know what better way to say it other than that, because it's just like it's sometimes Alex Kingston really has it on the money, and other times I feel like Moffat or whoever the director of a given episode is just saying like, fuck it, just like do your best step on me impression or whatever. It's strange.
Yeah, it's like you really get the vibe that like River at the beginning of her life, or at least as is her life as River, and River at the end of her life are two completely different characters, and it's supposed to be intentional, but the problem is that there isn't the middle ground. That's there is just she's annoying but not actively trying to kill him. And then it's like you get to the actually good stuff, which is the like Husbands and the library. Like Husbands River is really, really good. It also helps that in that episode she's not playing off of Matt Smith, who looks like he's young enough to be her son.
And then there's the Name of the Doctor appearance of
We
her,
don't no, shut up. We don't talk about that.
It's basically a wash. Anyways, yeah, she doesn't bother me too much here. It's just like it's all downhill from here, except when we get to 12, a couple years from now.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, they go to Stonehenge. Fun fact, actually, the Stonehenge, they did actually do some filming at Stonehenge for this episode. It wasn't like but like it depends. Basically, they weren't allowed to like touch any of the stuff. So like some of the shots are at Stonehenge, some of them are not. But like, for example, like the long shots definitely are. So yeah, there's this nice little like horror bit with the fucking Cyberman arm. And also like the Doctor expositioning over what the fucking Pandorica is, etc etc.
I feel like this is the first of several times where we have an episode where it starts off with like, "Oh my god, I heard about this Time Lord story," and then the Doctor's like, "Bro, that can't be real." And then like 5 minutes later, it's like, "Whoa, it's real." And that's happened like at least three. I feel like it's happened like at least 3 times, and I think it would work a lot better if the things were ever introduced in advance instead of just like at the beginning of the episode. It's like, whoa, this super legendary thing that we've never mentioned before, and it's totally fake. But what if it was real?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I don't know, that this is a weird case because I feel like this is something Doctor Who finales struggle with a lot. It's just like, no matter how much of a mystery box you set up, the finale is almost like always like completely a surprise and completely a new adventure. Sometimes that's not true, but a vast majority of the time it is. And I'll give Moffat credit here that it definitely, I think this finale works for him better than I'm forgetting the name, like Journey's End did, because I think he has less chess pieces on the board that he has to contend with.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think this is a bad finale at all, honestly. I think it's pretty good.
No, yeah.
It's pretty good.
You can even excuse some of it by like, oh, this is specifically engineered from like Amy's stuff. So like even then it kind of like internally justifies itself, which I'm okay with. But yeah, it's definitely after watching like 6 series in a row of Who plus specials, it's like, yeah, this kind of keeps happening, doesn't it?
Yeah. I warned you about the series finales, bro. It keeps happening, dog.
Cough the hybrid.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, and it's like the reveal of like, oh god, like fucking everything is coming in. Holy shit. Which yeah, it's definitely it's I don't know how I feel about it exactly, because on the one hand, I think the pileup works, but also on the other hand, there is kind of this thing of like, even for Fear of the Doctor, like, I don't see all of these people teaming up. Especially, like, it just makes me think of that part in fucking Doomsday, where the Cybermen try that, and the Daleks are like, no, bitch, fuck you.
Yeah, it's kind of seeing the Daleks there with everybody. I mean, it almost, you could argue it's part of the fairy tale element, that it's like, oh, these monsters are coming together even if it doesn't make logical sense. But I don't know, just if we really lean into the fascism allegory, it's like fascists don't know how to like party with anybody. Like Hitler screws over the Russians. I know it's more complicated than that, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, this is to have like, this is to up the stakes. What's more terrifying than the Daleks? It's the Daleks with the Cybermen, with the Centaurans, with I think the Silurians are there, and others. It's just
yeah.
it's a just go with it type of moment, but it
Yeah.
kind of works because it's not the core of the episode emotionally or really like thematically either. It's just they're there.
Yeah,
It's just more of a
definitely.
plot device to get him in the box.
Yeah. Get
You
in the
know
fucking
what they
Pandorica,
say.
11.
You gotta get the bunny in the box.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. A bunch of continuity names get rattled off really quickly. Okay, there is one thing here that really annoys me. Okay, so I have to say, the fucking thing where he's like fucking like, oh, the fucking greatest military might the universe has ever seen, the Romans, and it's like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah, that one was like, bro, what?
The Mongolian Empire would like a word. I'm
Like,
sorry.
Even
I could,
like,
yeah, there's the Mongolians, but like you would have a hard time like debating like you would have a hard time debating even just limiting it to the planet Earth. Once you start to get to the universe, it's just like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Hey, look, it's all that Italian virtue signaling. It's just we got to get these social
I
justice
cook it a
agendas out of our
meatball.
show.
you know, really, if you think about it, maybe Matt Smith was the Italian representation we needed all along.
All right, okay.
So true.
And that makes it even worse because that means the two minorities in New Who were the two that got the worst runs.
Oh well. Oh well. Dun 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 da 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 da.
Once again, the progress of Italian rights is set back by the British.
Oh, this one's fucking cursed. Okay.
That's why I'm here.
I do like how like River basically punks like the big like Roman guy who's like, "Oh, I'm a big fancy Roman guy." Like I like how that's handled because it's like using the exact same like imperialist mentality that they had against them by just being like, "Bitch, I am so much more technologically advanced than you will ever know."
Yeah, that's a good moment.
Oh yeah, also I forgot that like they introduced the Rory Centurion here, but they're like making very carefully sure to like not show him. Like they're being like really it's like it's clearly shadowed, and if you know it's coming, you're like, dude, that's fucking Rory. But they're like, no, it's not. Shush. It's totally not Rory.
I mean, this is kind
You
of
can't
where
see
the it's where the kind of like old like repetition of like, oh, this is a different character, but like since it's in the past or the future, it's the same actor. Like it's kind of where it works to that advantage, but at the same time, like, no, fuck you, that's totally Rory.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, there's a fun run around with the Cyberman. Um, and I will say, we finally made it, gang. We've got it. We have reached the peak Chad. Well, actually, I don't know if this is the peak Chad Rory, but it's pretty Chad. You know?
it's hard to beat standing around for 2,000 years.
Well, I wasn't even gonna go for the like. Yeah, there's that, but what I was gonna go for specifically, like before that, was like the fucking like thing where he fucking like spears like he just stabs the fucker.
Yes.
Like that's Pogger's champion, as my friend would say. Yeah. Um. Oh yeah, I forgot about the fucking thing where the cyber suit, like, I, it doesn't like, it doesn't not work, but it's kind of silly how like the fucking thing like opens up and is like drops a skull out of it and is like, we're gonna get Amy now.
Nom 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 nom.
Yeah, yeah, and it like snaps at her face. It's like, what? Um. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, Rory's there's a talk. I love how like 11 is like, "Ah, yeah, Rory, okay, cool," and goes on, and there's like a solid pause for a second, and then he's like, "Wait." It's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. That's a good moment.
Like,
It
you're
works
supposed
with
to
that
be
type
dead,
of character.
asshole.
Do you think we needed the Autons here?
Yeah, because that's how they explain how Rory came back.
Yeah.
Well, sure, but I mean, like, that doesn't even really do that, does it? Because, like, the whole thing is like, oh, sometimes miracles happen for, no good reason, and that's why you're here. And later we kind of have the explanation that he's here because he's, like, a remnant of, like, some part of Amy's psyche / memory, but you didn't need to put him, like, I don't know. It just... I don't mind it. I don't think it's, like, a bad choice, but overall I'm just like, okay, so all I can think of is, like, they wanted him back, and they also wanted him to, like, accidentally kill her and then put her in the box, and that gives him I don't know. As I said, it's not a bad decision. It's just, like, one of those things where I'm like, if I was doing this story this way, then I don't know if I'd do that. But I'm also not Stephen Moffat, so
Yeah.
Fuck me, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we do get to the really Poggers champion speech here. Where he basically, there's something that I really like about this speech in particular, because like it is the most like textbook archetypical like over the top Moffat speech. But there's something that happens like directly after it ends where it's like he delivers this big speech and he puts the thing down, he walks away, and he's like, all right, that'll keep them busy for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, it almost kind of like, it makes fun of itself.
Yeah, there's that, and it's also like, one, it feels like an act of desperation and not something that he knows he can just flip out the I'm the doctor card and win, which is what it feels like almost every subsequent time he does that, regardless of whether it's him or 12, because I think 12 does it like at least once. But yeah, I think it works here.
Yeah, it's like for the biggest, baddest, grandest, like most memorable Moffat speech, it takes the piss out of itself. And I like that.
And also it fucking fails.
Yeah. I mean, I think it does actually keep them busy for about 15 minutes real time in the episode.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess I sort of enjoy that fact that it's like it bought some time and then he didn't have a
Fuck
plan.
it.
So
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Um, River takes the TARDIS, but it gets all like picky as the TARDIS is wont to do. Um, and it takes her to Amy's house, which is supposedly when that big ass fucking explosion is supposed to happen. Um, and
So this is
oh
going.
yeah, she finds out that like pretty much the entire like scenario was a trap that's been constructed from like Amy's memories.
Yeah, I like that. I think it works. I have a question. This might be going off in a big tangent, but so it does is the TARDIS exploding the thing that causes the cracks, and then Gallifrey uses one of those cracks to like try to get back through into the regular universe?
Man, I don't fucking know. I don't think Moffat had this shit planned out nearly as people seem to think he did.
Oh, I'm definitely not arguing that. I'm just like, I've seen people argue about this like nearly to this day. It's just like, okay, did Gallifrey being shutted off into like a bubble universe like crack the reality of this one, or is it the TARDIS exploding? And it's just like, I don't fucking know, man. It barely works, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. She's like,
I'm already in this fandom. I have nothing to lose.
Sure? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
But yeah, to get back to the topic of like right now, yeah, I think the whole like drawing from Amy's memories and stuff, like that type of thing wouldn't work in nearly any other like circumstance. That would just be like, okay, bullshit, why her? But it's like,
yeah.
Since the whole series is arguably already around the theme of like fairy tale and like meeting your imaginary friend / meeting your heroes.
Yeah,
like
it makes sense here because it is explicitly like, yeah, we did it to get close to him through her.
Yeah, it's definitely not. In a worse constructed series, it would be just like, oh, you just use this to get like her boyfriend back. That's really cheap. But because of the other work they do, it actually works nicely. So
yeah,
props to Moffat, I guess.
Well done. I do like the tension with the scene between Amy and Rory, where like right as like she figures out and remembers who he is, like the programming kicks in and he ends up shooting her. And the music in the background especially has this just underlying tension to it that I think is really good.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
So yeah, the Doctor gets cornered by everyone, and they're like, yeah, surprise, the Pandorica was meant for you all along because we were afraid of this thing, even though the Doctor is the only person who can save everyone from that thing. As our cliffhanger is basically he gets put in the Pandorica, and then that's our cliffhanger as the TARDIS explodes and you see like every star in the universe exploding. One thing that I will say is I can't remember if they do this again later, but it retrospectively makes every single time they make the TARDIS they're like, oh, the TARDIS is threatened, like previously, like feel weird, because it's like, is there a way to destroy these that doesn't result in them like destroying the entirety of the universe? Like, how the fuck does this work?
Yeah,
Journey to
it
the center
seems
of the
kind
TARDIS,
of
especially.
Yeah.
it definitely sets up some weird questions about the Time Lords. Like, you basically made your society's equivalent to cars, except when they crash, they blow up the universe.
It's like those fucking like those like nuclear powered cars in Fallout 4 that when you blow them up they have like mini mushroom clouds. Wow, I can't believe I referenced a Fallout game and it was 4 and not New Vegas. I fucking hate Fallout 4.
Hey, today's a strange episode,
Shit's
my friend.
fucking weird, man.
I think the closest explanation I can pull out of my ass is that, like, when the Time Lords were around, they'd be able to sense, like, oh no, and then they'd be able to, like, fix it or, like, put it in a pocket dimension so it explodes there. Just because they're that overpowered that they'd be able to do that. But yeah, it's kind of a doesn't make that much sense when you think about it.
So yeah, and with that we move on to the Big Bang. So we start off, and it runs through it runs through the intro of 11th Hour again, except there's nothing there. And it cuts to like a psychiatrist like trying to tell Amy that there's no stars. Here's the thing that I don't get. If they're like stars have never existed, why do they have the concept for them?
It's like how we have the concept of zombies, but we don't have... I don't fucking know. It's dumb. It's really
Are you implying
dumb.
that there's another universe where zombies were real?
I mean,
I don't
multiverse
fucking
theory.
know. I'm talking to you, aren't I?
I think multiverse theory
that's a fair
theoretically
fucking
implies. I think that multiverse theory theoretically implies that like everything, like anything could possibly have happened in whatever.
There's a universe where Chibnall good.
They go to young Amy gets a thing telling her to go to a museum, and it like they go to the museum, and they find like the Pandorica just sitting in this museum, and the Pandorica opens it. The Pandorica begins to open, and it reveals that there's Amy sitting inside it, and it's like it's about to get complicated, and it's like, woo, trailer line. This might be the longest like time for like cold open. Like that cold open is almost 10 minutes long.
It kind of works.
Yeah. No, it works. It's just like, wow, this goes on for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it makes a nice contrast to the first one where it crams so much shit into like the opening, and then the second one feels like a much more smooth thing.
Yeah. So we get the thing here where Rory's talking to Amy's corpse, and 11 keeps popping back in and being like, and he's got like a mop and a fez. And I have to say, fucking So like yeah. So I have an anecdote about the mop and the fez, which is I remember reading somewhere that Moffat was like, I've had the best idea for this episode. In this episode, I'm going to give Matt a fez. And one of the other producers was like, Steven, you can't give you can't give Matt a fez, because if you give Matt a fez, he's never going to take the fez off again. And he's like, I know. This is why I've come up with an ingenious plan where the fez will be destroyed in the same episode.
Little did he know. The monster that was created.
I mean, to be fair, every time they do give him, like, they give him the Stetson in the season 6 opener, and that one lasts even shorter. They are hell-bent on eliminating the hats.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. There is some nice, fun, timey-wimey stuff where it's like, it's very, actually, in some ways, it's tighter than Blink. How well, like, this works, where, like, everything, like, very neatly loops back together.
Oh, absolutely. This is probably the most sophisticated we get in Doctor Who, which, this probably blew me away as a kid.
Because what I will say is that the rebooting the universe shit is dumb and doesn't make sense, but this stuff is good.
Yeah, the time loops it creates is pretty solid.
Yeah.
I will say, as a kid, this was probably really impressive. Now it's less impressive. Like, I feel like Homestuck just ruins time travel in general, because once you've read that and, like, managed to claw out some basic understanding of the timelines and that, like, no time travel in popular media feels anywhere near as complicated anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You have to read Homestuck to really understand the finer intricacies of Sonic 06's time travel plot. Okay.
I'm not a beta orbiter cuck.
Yeah.
So
I like how, like, it seems like 11 has gotten, like, super cold, but it turns out to just be he's, like, testing Rory to make sure that, like, he's actually broken his Auton programming.
Yeah, that's good.
That's actually, like, that's a very 12 thing. Like, I know we harp on it a lot, but that's something that 12 does, like, a lot more. Is, like, come off as much more cold-hearted than he actually is, just to see, oh, are you actually, like, yeah.
It's a recent trait, too. I mean, like, we've seen it a bit more recently with 11 talking Sophie into following her passions. Can't believe I'm referencing the Lodger of all things right now.
Yeah.
But we've already established this episode is fucking cursed. But yeah, that's a really good moment, and just the way everything ties in, as y'all were saying, to the bootstrap. I think it's a bootstrap paradox, like, nature of how everything gets rolling. And we see the ultimate chatification of Rory.
Ultimate chatification.
We need like that YouTube channel Death Battles, but Chad battles for Mickey and Rory.
Yeah. I mean, I like Mickey, but Rory wins hands down. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, there's being a good dude, and then there's, yeah, I sat outside your fucking box for 2,000 years and kept you safe. I dragged you out of a flaming building during the London Blitz.
Well, I was made of plastic.
Yeah.
That's to go off on a more serious note. I kind of wish they kept Rory somewhat altered, like not keep him plastic or anything dumb like that, but like have his experiences be like a bigger part of his character other than like an occasional reference. Like have him know how to do stuff, have him like know a different language, because he probably would. We need more Italian representation, damn it. Anyways, but I do actually mean that. I just not that I'm complaining about the Rory we got, but yeah, I don't know, tangent.
It's kind of interesting how they like literally pull out a fucking, oh, she's only mostly dead. Like they literally just straight up do that. Like they don't even fucking pretend.
To be fair, he did shoot her in the abdomen, so she would probably have had like at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how auton blasters work, but yeah.
Yeah. It didn't look like she was bleeding too much, so.
Yeah. So yeah, it's revealed that like, okay, if you fucking that if you like the Pandorica like will make sure that you like can't die, basically. So they put her in there and she just sits there for 2,000 years. I will say, I mean, admittedly, the universe has gone to shit, but this is like a prime example of like when, like, I love Father's Day, but Paul Cornell really fucked up the rest of the canon after that episode because they refuse to adhere to Father's Day, which is fine, but it's like, well, why aren't you doing that now?
It's just union disputes. They don't show up to everything.
The Time Janitor Union disputes? What is this, Final Fantasy VII Remake? That was a very affectionate joke, by the way. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is the highest Kino.
Oh, same.
So, yeah. I like... It's kind of weird because, like, this is kind of a, like, lower budget, weird, arty, like, second part of a finale, as opposed to, like, the way that RTD did stuff. And it's, like, in some ways, I honestly kind of feel like this is what he was trying to go for with Husbands of River Song. I mean, not Husbands, Wedding of River Song. But it just didn't work at all. Like, it's kind of interesting when you think about it.
Can you repeat that? The audio bugged out for a solid 5 seconds.
What I was gonna say is, this is like a weird, lower budget, arty take on a second part of a series finale that I feel like he tries again. It's actually, this is kind of what he tries again with like Wedding of River Song and Name of the Doctor, but it doesn't work there. Partly because I think both of those are single parts.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Wedding of River Song is just, I mean, we'll get there when we get there, but it's like there's the concept, which is interesting, but then everything else fails. And
Yeah.
here it's like the concept has been set up basically since the first episode of the series, so it feels like a
Yeah.
natural like
Yeah,
follow
definitely.
through on everything.
Um it's kind of weird when you think about it, cuz like it's almost this like weird like like despite the stakes being high, it's fairly low on action. Like the only threat is a single Dalek.
Yeah,
It's
the threat is
really
more
weird.
the environment than anything else, which I think is the
Yeah.
better way to go.
Yeah. It's like literally just like the world has already ended, basically. Yeah. So we basically get to the thrust of the episode, which is basically the universe is going to end, and the big plan that 11 has is basically to um like fly the Pandorica into the heart of the TARDIS explosion, and the combination of the two will miraculously restart the universe, and everything will basically be exactly the same, except the Doctor won't be there anymore. And it's like, okay, sure.
Nah, nah,
I
bro,
don't
it
really
totally
get
makes
the
sense.
yeah, I don't get the logic there at all, but okay, man. Fuck
Damn it,
it.
Jim! I'm an English major, not an astrophysicist.
Like it's just like what the fuck?
Because like
Um
the fucking the atoms in the fucking box, dude, it was from the original universe.
This should make this should not fucking work at all. I'm sorry, but
yeah.
again, fairy
And then
tale. We're there. We're walking.
yeah, and then of course you get to the fucking, and then somehow Amy manages to remember 11 hard enough that he comes back.
It's the if you believe in fairies meme, but
Yeah. Yeah, basically. It's so fucking weird.
I mean, doesn't he like goes back in time kind of and is like, oh, this is the story of me, whatever you do, remember me, even if I'm a story, just make it a good one. And I'm like, okay, that's like sweet and all, but like we're full on we have left reality land. We are now full on in Moffat high concept. Not even high concept, just like Moffat territory.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as an insult. Like it internally works. It's just like watching series 5 along with the rest of the series. It's just a weird fucking time.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like, okay, bro? Sure? Question mark? So yeah, it cuts to, I'm honestly, it's kind of interesting how this wedding happens, and like Rory's parents just aren't there. Like at all. They just don't exist.
Hey, to be fair, that one guy is probably busy filming the last 2 Harry Potter movies. So,
Yeah. It's just like, okay. So yeah, and he manages to uh Amy manages to fucking remember 11 back. And there's fun wedding shenanigans with like the scene of him fucking dancing.
I'll just say it's a shame that we never really get any proper follow through from this. Like we never like Amy. I understand she's an adult, but like we never see her parents after this.
Yeah,
Rory's whole thing
we
about
see Rory's parents, but not Amy's.
yeah, so it's like, and I get that it's like, oh, they've been like erased from existence and whatever, but like not even photos or anything. It's just we have it's a triumph, but I don't think we feel it and are as connected to Amy and like feeling for her as much as we should. It's kind of rushed, the idea that she has whole bits of her life missing. I will be somewhat critical on the execution there, but like overall, yeah, it's a nice, it's triumphant. It doesn't end with 11 standing sadly in the rain as another companion forgets who he is.
It's literally like the first time in the history of the show where it's like, yup, here's our TARDIS team. Here they go. Like, literally, Series 1 has a regeneration. Series 2 through 4 have companion turnovers. This is the first one.
Yeah, and I will say, if nothing else, despite the weirdness and weird rocky places Moffat has taken the show, I do like I do like the fact that for the most part, companions, with the exception of Bill, damn it, that they stay on more. I think that's more interesting. It allows for more storytelling possibilities. I'm not saying you should never just like have that type of one season turnover. I think it works. It's just, Rose, Martha, and Donna, I only felt like one of them was given like their proper due, because Donna was amazing, and then Rose kind of stopped being good after series 1. So it's like, I don't know. I appreciate the format of like allowing better storytelling, because Clara just got better for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I guess unless we have anything else, anyone else to say, we can move on to ratings. All right. Yeah, it's good. As I said, I really feel like in many ways that this is like the kind of shit that Moffat would get into later, but it just works here. Like it even though like the resolution is kind of bullshit and makes no sense, even though it's like probably too convoluted for its own good, even if it lacks some of the emotional punch of RTD's finales, it's good. In a lot of ways, I'd say it's probably the best finale, or, well, I don't know if I'd count it as my favorite, but it's the one that's annoyed me the least since Parting of the Ways, I'd even say. It's just good. Yeah. I very solid, and I think I'd probably give it a solid A-.
Pog. Yeah, this isn't really like a bombastic episode. It has some team ups. You could argue that it's going higher up in stakes than the previous finale of series 4, but I don't think I'd agree. I think this really, it's grand in terms of character and in terms of theme more than narrative. And I think the reason that I think the Moffat bullshit works and in some cases even enhances the episode is really because this is his first outing. This is like when he really had it all planned out. He knew his immediate goal or his immediate endpoint, and then just kind of arguably like fumbled the rest to hell. But the thematic setup of the fairy tale and Amy's relationship to the Doctor and to the like fantastical world that he inhabits, that's been set up from the first episode, and with few exceptions, it's never faltered from that point. So I think what I'm coming away from this two-parter is that previous RTD two-parters, they had like amazing highs, but also they would have some points where it would just be like meh at best, or like, oh my god, that's so dumb at worst. And here, even though there aren't like amazing emotional highs, there's also no like terrible lows either. So it's like above middling quality, but for its consistency, I respect it, and I'm enjoying myself a lot more throughout it, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, I'd probably give this a strong A minus. Probably not the bombastic finale I think it is. Honestly, I'd probably go to a few RTD finales over this one, just off of
Yeah.
memory. But just if I want to have a good time, if I want to see the conclusion to this spectacular series, then yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, it's a it's a good finale. It's pretty all right. No, like definitely, we had really good memories of this finale. We remembered it being really hype, and we grew up an 11 stan. So yeah, we this was one of the ones that stuck out really clearly in our mind as being some top tier shit. Um, and we watched it, and like yeah, I definitely really like just the tone of it overall is really nice. I don't mind a lot of the more ridiculous elements to it just because it sets a general vibe of like tongue-in-cheek fairy tale vibes. And I definitely think the transition between the first and second episode is really good, just tonally and in terms of what they do with the story is just really solid. My main thing against it would just be some of the Moffatier moments are yeah, definitely like the river stuff, and just some of the general vibes off of 11. But beyond
Yeah.
that, it's really solid, and I love Rory. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
say like an 8.5 for the story overall. It's pretty solid for now.
Yeah, definitely. One of the okay. Actually, yeah, sorry. What okay. So yeah, uh now that we have finished series 5, it's time for yet another series ranking. Um what I would so yeah, overall, I think this season is very consistent, with the exception really of Victory of the Daleks. That's like the one real shit pile. Um I think even though it's like consistent, I don't think it's like its goodness in terms of like it being consistently good. I don't think that is as high as series 4 or series 1. I think it's still overall like pretty great, but I would definitely rank it. I'd rank it at third, I think. Is where I personally would put it. Um and if I had to pick a top 5 for episodes, I would say that at number 5, I would put Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone. At number 4, I'd put Vampires of Venice. At number 3, I'd put 11th Hour. At number 2, I'd put Amy's Choice. And at number 1, I'd put Vincent and the Doctor.
Damn. Kino Poggers list. Yeah, I think the clear least favorite for me of this series is Victory of the Daleks. Yeah. um as for the ranking, I think I'd put, it's difficult. Um I think I think Lodger is 5th.
Wow.
Hungry, well,
Bitch.
no, hold on. Let me make my case. Hungry Earth 2-parter is 4. Actually, wait, no, that completely messed me up. Okay, so never mind. We're kicking the Lodger out, just as things should be.
Okay.
Hungry Earth 2-parter is 5th. 4 is easily Vampires of Venice for me. 3 is... Why am I not finding anything? Okay. 3 is Amy's Choice. 2 is The 11th Hour. And 1 is Vincent and the Doctor. There we go. I couldn't count for a second. That's why I put Lodger there. I thought I had room. So Lodger is 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm still working through this. Yeah, that one. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna upset Jeff. Number 5, The Lodger.
Fuck.
Number 4, I'd say Beast Below. Number 3, I would say Big Bang Pandorica Opens. Number 2, Time of the Angels and Flesh and Stone, and then number 1, Vincent and the Doctor.
All right. Where would you put the season overall?
That's hard. I think probably 4th. It's a bit better than season 2, I'd say.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, until then, next week we will be discussing what I think is actually the overall best Christmas special the show has ever had, A Christmas Carol. Until then, you can follow the podcast. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at B2TARDISPod, and you can support us on Patreon for a number of benefits, such as the ability to listen in live to an episode and get early access to episodes, as well as potentially even appearing on an episode of your choosing. I'm Jeff. You can follow me on Twitter at WheatleyDL.
I'm the token Italian of the podcast. You can find me at skyhigh9_5 on twitter.com for all your Italian memes.
This is Dirk motherfucking Strider, and you can find me and all the other homies at NessQuixotic on twitter.com.
And we will see you all next week.